How does this work? Thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to come here today. So basically what we're doing here at Homes by Vets is pretty simple. We're not recreating the wheel. We came up with a concept that said, you know, home building's been the same way forever. The way I think is a little different, saying if there's a way to make it more efficient, better. And then also with what's happened recently with natural disasters and being a real estate agent new to this area, termites, not real big in the Midwest where we came from. So finding a way to fix these issues, and then on top of that, employing 100% veteran workforce. So with that, a little bit about myself. Like I said, background is commercial sales, and about 4 years ago got into real estate, got into investing, buying properties, rehabbing them. Then I eventually got my realtor's license. And during that process is kind of where this idea started, saying, you know, there's got to be a better way. So with that, jump right in. So our mission here is mission and vision statements. You know, start with that. Very simple. I'm not going to read it verbatim. But really, what we wanted to do down here in the Pensacola area, in the Panhandle, was to utilize our over 150,000 veterans. It's a underutilized workforce, and what we realized the need for it was men and women coming back have unique skill sets that may not transition easily into the private sector when it comes to, oh, you don't have your bachelor's or your master's, but they have unique skill sets that we want to help use them and employ them, and that's really what's helping drive this. And then on our vision statement, you know, we want to make a house. We want to make a house that's going to last a very long time. That's not going to give you any issues when it comes to termites, when it comes to hurricanes, because we're Miami-Dade rated, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And we also want to give back to our, like I said, our men and women that have already done so much for us. And for myself, I'm not a veteran, but wanted to really tap into that in this area, because noticed, been here for about 2 years now, strong military presence here, and very excited about multiple groups and things like that that try and help the veterans, and wanted to attach to that as well. So, and with that, so how many people have seen a traditional house being built, just wood stick built? Yeah, most everybody. You may have been on the receiving end of it. And normally what happens is you say, okay, you go to the developer, and I want this house, ranch, 2-story, etc. Typical time frame, and if you've built a house or if you've seen them being built, you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 8 months. From when you break ground, they build the foundation, they do that. In the meantime, you're waiting to get your house. So with this solution we have, steel insulated panel homes. These are prefabricated 6 inches of closed cell foam, and I've got some pictures here because a lot of this, you know, I don't want to be like Dave on his original talk was talking about all the techie stuff, but these are prefabricated where they come to the job site and you can actually frame up a home with 3 to 4 veterans in a matter of 3 to 4 days. You can have your roof, your exterior walls, and everything done, ready for you to go on the inside. So the big advantage there is you're looking at taking that 6 to 8 month window of traditional construction and condensing it down to 60 to 80 days from breaking ground to having a beer in your refrigerator. One of the things that I also want to do is on the back end, make a full circle. So employ veterans, train them, teach them how to build this, and then once we have the houses, make sure that they're taking advantage of their VA benefits, because there's a lot of veterans that know of some of it, but on the, you know, with my background in real estate, the VA benefits for purchasing a home are great if they know the right avenues to go about using them, and lenders, etc. So, like I said, trying to really create a turnkey solution, build the house, employ the vets, give them an opportunity to buy it if they'd like, and then on the very final end, a percentage of every home we're going to build is going to go back to we've got 2 partners that are local veterans groups. So, like I said, really trying to keep everything together. Talked a little bit about this. If anybody's familiar with your R factor, so traditional construction, you've seen the Pink Panther commercials where they roll out the pink insulation. it really sucks if you've ever had to work with it, don't like it. But for new construction, even the higher end places, you're looking at somewhere in the R20 to 25, and that's like almost LEED certified. With these coming straight from the manufacturer, closed cell foam, steel on either sides, starting is at 38, an R38 factor. So what does that mean to the end consumer? Well, it means a lot, because the tighter the envelope, meaning, you know, they look at your windows, your door frames, et cetera, and they use a scanner, and you can see where you're losing energy, your air conditioner, your heating getting sucked out of your house from cracks and voids. So these are nearly double standard new construction. Miami-Dade is the highest rated compliancy, and that happened after Andrew way back when houses just got obliterated. So after that happened, they said, hey, we've got a hurricane code now that your house has to withstand 175 mile an hour winds. So these homes actually withstand more than that, but that's the minimum factor. Since we're using steel exterior walls and then the inside, instead of having wood studs, we're using steel. So we minimize a food source for termites and mold, because wood can retain water. And then as far as your air quality goes, because you have such a tight envelope and you're minimizing the time that you're running your HVAC system, so you're not sucking in a lot of dust and outside pollens and allergens into your system because it's such a tight, nice envelope. And here, you know, like I said, talked a little bit about this. I don't know where the laser pointer is on this guy. Oh, found it. So this is more traditional. We've seen this before. You got 4 guys here. You're using some braces, and you got to stand the wall up. Time consuming, labor consuming, and also creates, tying into Dave's speak a little bit, a lot of waste. If you've ever been on a construction site, lots of bricks, chunks of 2x4, plywood, etc. With the steel construction here, these walls come as is, 4 feet by 8 feet or 10 feet or 12 feet. You can make them however tall or wide you'd like. And because they're pre-manufactured, they slide together kind of like a Lego. So there is nearly no waste on a job site for that reason. And they also come with the windows and doors, things cut out. So when people, you know, this is the $1 million question. Well, if this is so great and everything else, how much more is it? Why aren't more people doing it? So when you're looking at the cost comparison, on the front end, roughly about 10 to 15% more for the steel insulated panels. But the savings that you get is the labor savings, because like I said, we can have 60 to 80 days, house is up and done, versus that 5 to 7 months. And then also for the end consumer, the HVAC costs, your utility costs, these go way down because of that nice tight envelope. And then by utilizing a veteran workforce, what better group of staff can you get to say, okay, here's your time frame, here's your budget, here's your agenda, knock it out, get it done. So that's really what's driving this, is training and having the best motivated workforce that we can. That's exactly how the military trains. Here's your task, here's your goal, accomplish it. No excuses, this is what you do. That's what they're accustomed to. So this is a sample home that's over in East Hill. This wasn't our firm that did it, but it's the technology. And what you're looking at is, this is a shotgun kind of galley. It's a tiny little lot, so that's why the house had to be basically a rectangle. But what you can see is steel insulation, or steel studs on the inside all the way here. Run an HVAC system through the center of it. These are the panels themselves. Down here is hardy board. So that's the other thing with these homes. You can finish them just like any traditional home. Hardy board, brick, stucco, siding, however you like. Let's see here. Then you've got steel roof, same thing on the roof. The one thing I really wanted to just show here is this is the 6 inches of closed cell foam with steel on either side. So what that does, that's the roof. So in traditional houses, you've got your trellises, you got your plywood, then you spray your insulation in the attic. With this, it's all incorporated. So what that does also is there's no need for You've seen the Tyvek or the wrap that they put around people's houses. Looks like a big trash bag when they're building them. You don't have to do that. This has a built-in moisture barrier. And then on the inside, there's no need to do the rolled-in Pink Panther insulation because it's all incorporated. So those are two big time savings right there. So you basically put it in place and you're good to go and keep moving. So that's why I wanted to show that house first, because it's a little shotgun house. Now these houses are actual homes. These are another builder that's using the same technology over in Houston. So it gives you an idea of the capability of using this. And once you look at it from the outside or the inside, it looks no different than a standard built home, for the exception of you're going to get great utility savings and avoid any of the termites, and get a rating, like I said, for the Miami-Dade wind ratings. So this is one of the questions that we usually ask at the end, what can we do for you? So the call for action, when I mention capital, it's not necessarily straight cash or money, it's, intellectual capital. If you have ideas, if you got suggestions, if you have connections, and you say, hey, I think you may want to talk to this person or that person, because we are in the startup phase. So that's where I mentioned that. Same thing on the introductions. Right now I'm looking to build a team of veteran subcontractors, electricians, HVAC, et cetera. Get my team together. On the land side of things, maybe somebody's got some vacant property that's been sitting there and saying, you know what, we'll sell this off cheap, or we'll potentially donate it, whatever the case may be. That would be great as well. And then for the education, I know what I don't know. So there's more that I can glean from people that have done this, or maybe have some contacts, things like that. Always willing to take a call, have a coffee, whatever it may be. Q&A. So this is going to be probably tough for you guys to see out there. Basically, I'll zip through these real quick. What is it going to cost me more? On the front end, buying the raw materials, yes. But once you look at checks and balances, no. By the time you get your labor savings and your energy efficiency, it's a net zero. How many people does it take? Like I said, a team of 4 veterans can have what we call the outside shell roof constructed within 4 days, and literally having 1 week's of time to have the house framed up. With traditional stick build, you're looking at 3 weeks, and that's if a team's out there really getting it, good weather, everything else. So 2 weeks right there. And once why is that important? Because once you have the roof and the exterior walls up, you can get your other trades in, running your plumbing, your electricity, finishing out the inside. Who else is doing them? There's a couple manufacturers throughout the area, a couple people that are building them, but nobody, kind of our special sauce is using that veteran workforce. That's our key differentiator, using the veterans and using the steel insulated panels as a median. Why are so few in the market? It's easy, it's reluctant to change. We're not going after your Adams and your D.R. Hortons and these big, huge conglomerates. They've got it down with their suppliers or manufacturers that, hey, I can buy X amount of sticks and bricks, it's gonna cost me this much, and I know how much my team can go out there and frame it for. So that's one of the things why these aren't more popular, because it's kind of the old saying, it's the way it's been, it's the way we keep doing it, that's why. So the reluctance to change. And then, the follow-up question is, well, that's great, all these, we like the sounds of this, et cetera. What does it cost? So same thing with any traditional construction. Your costs are going to vary from your land acquisition cost, how much your lot cost, how much square footage are you looking at, how much, you finish it with granite, et cetera. So really, when it boils down to it, we can be cost competitive as a price per square foot, which is your baseline when it comes to construction. And with that, I'm just going to open it up to any questions. Shoot.
Where are your panels built? Here?
Yeah, they're U.S. manufactured, Virginia. Go ahead.
So I noticed on a photo you were showing the cross-section of the roof. How do you finish that so that there's no degradation of the material, of the foam?
Fascia.
Okay.
So you put your steel fascia. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Go Mm-hmm.
So you've got market influences based upon
Sure.
supply, demand, and speculation in the markets. Does your business model consider the impacts over time in terms of how those cost differentials may be plus or minus?
Right. So that was a question I had for the manufacturer. I had posed the exact same question. I said, hey, it varies daily. It's a commodity. Said so to offset that and to minimize risk, they have a 4 to 6 month inventory on hand. So they buy in bulk pre-hand to kind of offset the fluctuations.
So the second question was
Shoot.
cost differential.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly in selling homes is the financing sources.
Right.
So if you go with a mortgage application on a home that costs 10 to 15% more, is a lender going to say, well, that's fine, but we're only going to bank it like it was a brick and stick deal? I'm just curious if the financing is going to accommodate these materials and lending practices or whether they won't support it.
So on the financing side, that's a great question. When you look at, like I said, the labor savings, so when you go build a house, there's going to be, okay, here's your total cost. And it's including your labor, your materials, et cetera, for you to get that loan. So with this, that's what I'm saying, the initial material cost may be more, but the big picture cost is going to be similar, so you're not looking at a appraised value versus what we're going to give you. Okay.
Is there any, so I know with solar panels and solar energy, you get like a homeowner's insurance discount because it's energy efficient. Is that something you guys are?
It is green certified. I have to look in to see, what specific on this market you may be able to get.
I imagine that would help with the
Yeah.
Are you working with the VA right now or any nonprofit organizations?
Yes. So one of my partners right here, Michelle Caldwell with Monument to Women's Veteran. Another one is 90 Works.
Oh, nice, okay.
So, and the goal with them is to hire,
So you haven't built a home yet?
not yet.
Okay.
Have you identified like any legal implications, like having a strictly variable workforce as far as like equal opportunity issues or anything like that? I think it's a great idea. Being a veteran, I think it's awesome.
Sure.
But
That's a good question. So the goal is, what I'm calling Project 2020, is by 2020 having 20 veterans hired. And that could be your company is a veteran-owned HVAC company. Well, all your employees aren't necessarily veterans, so that kind of
Right.
offsets that.
awesome. And just one more, how do you plan on attracting or finding those veterans to work with?
By partnering with local groups that are veteran-specific.
Eric, it seems like you've got a huge market over in Panama City right now for based on what happened over there. It seems like, can you build over there?
Yeah.
Second question is, where's the home in East Hill? Since I live there, I'd love to-
It's on bars.
on Bars?
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the other cross street?
It's bars in between 12th and, it's 14 something bars, 14. Yeah.
So great job on the presentation, Eric. I'm going to ask you a technical question, if that's okay.
Shoot.
One of those pictures is a two-story house. I'm wondering how you get your compression strength. If you go up to 2 stories, you can put some kind of bond beam in there. And then the second question, I'm familiar with these types of panels. Do they sit in a C-channel? And if so, how do you address the thermal bridging issue?
So the thermal bridging is addressed because they do sit in a C channel. So what that means for people that may not know, it's kind of like a track. They slide in, and there's a patented U-joint where they connect together. So that addresses the thermal bridging and gap because there's an overlay on either side, and it's insulated within that connection. The structural integrity of the panels themselves, because they are reinforced steel, that will help with the second level, and then you can put a header beam across to support the weight of the second floor. And then you're next, Bob. Go ahead.
I was curious about labor supply. So talent is constrained right now,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're talking about developing the veteran workforce
Yes.
to perform this. So how are you going to take a veteran that's either straight out of the military or been in another industry and give them the skills necessary to perform this work?
That's another great question. So with 90 Works, I met with them last week, and we're talking about a potential training program, finding a place, or with Michelle here as well.
Well, and Pensacola State College already offers a program for construction, and so does the University of West Florida. So we just see that tie-in with the veterans and the schools that are already here and what they're already putting together. So part of that you know, the University of West Florida per capita has the largest veteran student organization in the country. So you look at that and you look at our population here, the veteran piece, we already have several veterans that already own companies here that are Vietnam guys that we've never even, you know, really recognized. So partner with those organizations that already exist, I think brings that, and then the aspect of being able to have something we can train a new skill for. I think that's, you know, added to that. But Pensacola State College and the University of West Florida already provide classes, and they would love to partner and do something with us too. So.
Bob, what you got?
Yeah, great idea, Eric. Now, I came in late, so forgive me if you already said this. Did you talk about anything about pre-sales?
We don't want to put the cart in front of the horse just yet. So.
I used to, in the 1980s, I built 43% of the homes in Austin, Texas. Not me personally, but the company.
Mm-hmm.
What we would do is we would go out and we would get letters of intent from 20 people who we qualified financially that said that subject to our obtaining financing and the land, that they would commit to do the deal. If we didn't get the land and the financing at a certain price, they could walk. That allowed us to take that to the bank to get the financing to get started, rather than just starting off paying for all the staff and so forth. So just an idea. I'd be glad to visit with you on that.
Thank you. That's a great idea. Anybody else?
One of your veteran businesses, just to throw out there, one of the veteran businesses that Eric's also partnered up is AMIC, which is a veteran-owned mortgage company, and they specify it specifically helping veterans to buy a home. And that's a veteran-owned business already that besides and lines that up, so that's awesome.
You answered it before, but I'm curious, has anything changed, or is there anything that we can do right now as a community for you?
Really keep your eyes and ears open if there's anybody you know that may be a good fit as far as construction, if they've got the knowledge, the intellectual knowledge, they're willing to sit down and chat. You know, like Bob over there, I'm like a sponge, so the more I can learn, so I don't make mistakes on the back end, the better for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.